Yeah. Hi, I'm Greg Gutfeld, along with Judge Jeanine Pirro, Harold Ford Jr., Jesse Waters, and a Dorito is her hang glider, Dana Perino, the 5. The White House attacking Republicans after the Wall Street Journal dropped a bomb on the crazy old coot in chief. The Journal piece is titled "Behind Closed Doors, Biden Shows Signs of Slipping." It's got 45 sources, both Democrat and Republican, who were in the room for Biden's private meetings with congressional leaders. Joe needs note cards to make obvious points, pauses for extended periods, and closes his eyes for so long that people think he's checked out. But you don't have to be behind closed doors to see the obvious.
Politics with the war.
Oh, boy. A Time magazine interview also chock full of senior moments. Bumbling Biden was forgetting facts, mixing up the leaders of China and Russia, and then challenging the reporter to a fight when he asked if he's too old. Brawler Biden saying, quote, "I can do it better than anybody you know. You're looking at me. I can take you too." As usual, Morning Joe defending senile Joe.
They're using people around Johnson and Kevin McCarthy to do this Trump hit piece on Joe Biden. They're talking about international affairs. If you want to talk about how to get bipartisan legislation, Joe Biden is light years ahead of all of them.
It's not going away. He's not going to age backwards. This isn't Benjamin Button here. This is Joe Biden.
Anybody who has spent any time at all with Joe Biden knows one thing about Joe Biden above all else. He's a talker.
He is sharp, he is engaged, and he is commanding. President Biden reflects the fact that all of us who have demanding lives in public service sometimes misspeak.
All right, Dana, let's examine the article itself.
Okay.
You might not know this, but it was carefully and sensitively edited. The author, I believe, was a previous Democrat press secretary.
Yes.
It was 3 different meetings over several months, dating back to January. Yep. I'm not sure if you're aware of this information. I get the sense that this was an intentional project from the Democrats, not from the Republicans.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Remember the ABC poll that 86% of Americans, that included Democrats, believe that Biden was too old to run. Mm-hmm. And it was also because these things were happening, and then people were talking to the media. And yes, one of the reporters was a Democratic House press secretary, I believe, and then she became a reporter. Siobhan Hughes has been there forever. For people to say this is a hit job from the Wall Street Journal, I think it just belies the facts. You know that what people are saying. Kevin McCarthy's quoted throughout on the record. But you also had this. The Wall Street Journal did their work, but then the White House went into overdrive, okay? Mm-hmm. And then they tried to overcorrect. And they asked the Democrats who were quoted in the article to call the reporters back and to say, "I just want to make sure that you know that Biden is really with it." And the reporter's like, "Why are you calling me back?" And he says, in the story, it says, "The White House told me to call you back." Okay, so then they're overplaying their hand. Mm-hmm. And so everything is just like too much. Do you remember when there were the New York Times, I believe, did a story about Kamala Harris? They had 70 sources saying that she was a tough person to work for. This is before all the many makeovers took over. Was the New York Times a hit job? And the other thing I wanted to point out about this is that I'm concerned. I feel like there is no vision for the country coming from the candidates at the moment. I'm not Trump tries, I believe, but then he gets pulled into talking about his trials and everything that the Democrats have thrown at them. And, the debate's 3 weeks from tomorrow. Maybe we'll see them set out this vision. But I feel like the country is like, wait, where are we going, guys? What are we doing? And you could look on immigration. He's going to do the executive order. He's not. He is. He's not. Then you look at Ukraine. They can use the missiles. They can't. They can. They won't. And then even on Israel, then Biden's like, he is. He's not. He is. He's not. He's mad, but he's not. And he's an ally, but he's not. And I'm thinking, is it incoherence as a policy, or is the president not being clear in his thinking to tell the people who work for him, this is what he wants? And that's the kind of the conclusion that I came to after all of that good information you provided.
Yes, I do think this was that was the point that was being made by the people that want him out. Jesse, I have a theory I'd like to share with you.
Please.
This article has a bigger mission to tell everyone it's okay to vote for Trump. Remember, in 2016 and 2020, you didn't go out of your way to say that you were voting for Trump because there'd be too much risk. The article is basically giving you the blessing to say, yeah, I'm going to vote for Trump. I know I'm not crazy about him, but look at this guy. It comes down to what is riskier. And this article said Biden is far more risky as president. That's what I got. I think that's the mission.
It's a great cover story. It's a great excuse for people that are looking for an excuse.
Yes, exactly.
To tell their friends and family and coworkers about why they're not voting for Joe Biden. And I just do want to be fair to the president. It's a hard job. It's a hard job for a 45-year-old. It's a hard job for anybody. And he's got 2 wars going on. You have intelligence officials telling him things that we don't even know about, that he's probably stressed about. His son's on gun charges, you know, in trial. And I don't know. He's got to deal with Ducey every time he walks around. So
who got to you, Jesse?
I think I'm maturing. I'm a little more compassionate than I used to be. But let me just pivot now.
Okay. It was a setup.
He ran for this office, and he has the greatest support staff anywhere in the world. He has hundreds of people in the White House. He has people polishing his shoes. He's got tailors. He's got people briefing him. He's got people making sure he doesn't trip and fall. He's got a guy cutting his hair. He has aides. He has chefs. He has pilots. They're presenting the best version of Joe Biden that we're ever going to see. When he goes out in public, they are giving us the best version of Joe ever. And that is Joe's flubbing. That is Joe stumbling. That is Joe telling stories about his uncle was eaten by cannibals. It doesn't get any better than that. This, what we're seeing right now in public, is the most alert and alive and polished Joe Biden ever. And so the public has now gotten 3 times to see what it's like behind the scenes. You had that book out. I think Frank Doerr said the guy was like old and doddering. You had the Her report said the guy was too old and doddering to even stand trial. And now you have this 45 Republicans and Democrats went on the record here. This wasn't like McCarthy just spilled the beans to the Journal. This is 45 people saying what it's like behind the scenes. He loses track of negotiations in the middle of a negotiation. He needs note cards to sit in a room and say obvious things to the other people in the room. He forgets names. At one point, he said the meeting was delayed almost 10 minutes because the president was moving so slowly to get into the chair. And he keeps his eyes closed for so long, people think he's dozing off. So when you have a president who's creating crisis, he's creating a crisis at the border, he's creating an inflation crisis, they connect the crisis with his age. And they say his age and his mental faculties are causing these bad policies. And now we resent the White House for covering it up. And that's where we get now. When Joe Biden loses, eventually someone's going to spill the beans and say how this was one of the greatest White House cover-ups of all time.
Yeah, you know, Judge, I do believe that this article was planned for this specific time. It's already June. We already knew that Jimmy Carter was done in May, you know, around Memorial Day. And the other secret message, 45 sources. Who's also 45? Trump. See what I'm talking?
See things.
Yes.
I got to tell you, Greg. You know, the truth is that we didn't need the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times to tell us what we already knew, what we had been talking about, what we've been criticized for talking about. But now the liberal outlets are saying it. And so I go to the very question that you're asking. Why? Is it to give other people permission to let them say, you know, it's okay? But I got to tell you, I come down, I mean, the obvious stuff, the rambling and the mumbling, and they're not releasing the audio of the Her report. They'll release a transcript, but not the audio because it's an AI fake or because it may hamper the integrity of investigations. That's a bunch of nonsense because the ums, the ahs, the closing his eyes, the pausing, the fact he didn't know when his son died, he didn't know when he was vice president, when he started, when he stopped. And I have to say to myself, and you know, is Jill Biden like so obsessed with being first lady that she's convinced herself that Joe Biden is the only person who can be commander in chief? Or is it really an obsession with power and luxury and all the things that she's not willing to live without, irrespective of the health and well-being of her husband? I mean, this man, it's not about his age, it's about his cognitive decline. How can a party let him go out there? How can these politicians lie to us? We know they're lying to us when they say he's got more energy. Look, didn't he just go to Normandy and then he went to the hotel? He didn't go to any of the events. I mean, this is them like trying to con us, and Americans don't like that.
I'm afraid we're out of time, Harold. But I promise you next week we'll get around to your response. Just submit it in writing. I think you know, it is stating the obvious. And at Harold, it's kind of like, I mean, the conclusion, even they're basically saying he's not competent or reliable to remain in office. And I go back to my first question to Dana. He's a danger to the country. He poses I got walked away with this. You would never have this guy in office, given what they're saying.
So the great thing about our system, good to be back with everybody. The great thing about our system is that you can vote for someone else. So if people don't want to vote for Joe Biden, I don't think it's a real headline alert here to know that he's old and that he's slowed a bit. And I think it makes it even more important. My take on it is a little different. I think it makes it even more important whom the 78-year-old chooses for his VP also, because it is some of the polling data suggests that maybe Vice President Harris is not as popular amongst Americans, for that matter, even amongst a lot of Democrats. So I think it's putting pressure, will put pressure on Trump to choose a viable and serious and well thought of VP choice. Finally, this headline and this story will be forgotten the morning
by
June
Joe.
20, no, right, maybe. But on June 28th, the day after the debate, if he stands there and performs well, that will be the real test for him. Just like the State of the Union was a test, and he performed well there. But if he does well in the debate, this will be forgotten.
But I just don't understand why he is so vigorous and alert in private, and why don't we ever see that in public? Why do they always have to tell us behind the scenes he's just so amazing?
Yeah.
When these 45 people are saying actually not so much.
You wouldn't believe how well behaved I am in private.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.